Let's talk about the subtle art of not giving a fuck. And by the end of this video, I'll have given you about 5 or 6 tips that you can use to actually start not giving a fuck about things. Now, let's get into it. We live in a world that just wants us, that craves our attention. Big corporations, social media. So we tend to care a lot about things that we're not supposed to care about. By the way, social media even makes these things worse for people who seek external validation. So what happens is when people seek external validation, it gets worse because when you're so desperate to try to get rich and to show people that you're rich, you get to remind yourself that you're not yet rich. Also, the fact that somebody else is richer than you would create a new problem. So this constant chase of happiness or this desperation to want to create an image that you are not fulfilled internally is creating a major problem. In turn, it's causing some form of suffering. And then we live in a world where people want to avoid suffering at all costs. But unknowingly, suffering, which is the second point, is something that gives us a sense of meaning. When I often hear mothers talk about the fact that having to go through that pain of labor, that pain of raising a child, is where they got their most joy in life. And if you look through it, human beings have evolved because of one suffering, and the willingness to overcome suffering has pushed us this far. So suffering plays a major role. Pain plays a major role. Just like the people who go to the gym to have that painful experience, and yet they enjoy it because they know that when the pain is gone, there's some form of joy, a sense of accomplishment that comes with it. So, but what most people do is they want to be happy. So they want to avoid pain, and in doing so, end up causing more pain for themselves. So think about it. People just want fleeting moments. Oh, I want to be happy. I want to just travel the road. But if you look at it, that's why we have lots of miserable people. They have no sense of mission, no sense of purpose. So it's just they ride on this hedonic treadmill where everything is about pleasure and pleasure and pleasure. Next dopamine hits, they leave their phones, move on to drugs, then chase sexual needs. But you see those who follow the path of suffering, they have this idea that they are working towards something. That's fine. Which leads to my third point, which you have to choose your own suffering. You have an idea in your head. You ask yourself, is it worth going through the pain? Do I really want to go through the pain of achieving this? Say, for example, some people want to be rich, like millionaire, billionaire status, but do not want to have to invest 5 to 10 years of constant pain day in, day out. Some people want to have fit bodies, but do not want to have the pain of going to the gym. That is why some marketers have made millions to billions by just selling products that tell people that you don't have to put in so much effort, or you don't have to go through a pain to get certain results. But that's not reality. So I see people looking for slimming tea, slimming pills. Sometimes one of the greatest scams I've seen is detox tea, where somebody engages in a bad habit, but the person knows that it's a bad habit. So you tell him that no problems, keep your bad habits. All you need is this detox tea. But in reality, your body is used to detoxify itself by itself. Instead, now you have added new toxins in the system that the liver and kidney have to take care of. Now, this idea of choosing your suffering is why it's so interesting is because pain is completely inevitable. We all know this. Everybody goes through some form of pain, whether it's the black man, it's the white man. Nobody is actually free from pain. So instead of allowing pain just come as random or nature throwing its pain towards us, it would be nice if we can make our painful experiences intentional. For example, go to the gym. There's a reason people go to the gym, which is other than to be attractive. The reason is addictive. And that reminds me about a research. It's a research I think it was brought about by Andrew Huberman, where he says when people find cheap dopamine, what happens is when you have that cheap dopamine, you have that nice ride for about a couple of minutes to hours. So what happens is it drops after. The worst part is that the base level for our dopamine actually lowers. So what that means is if you want to feel as good as you felt the previous time, you probably will have to increase the dose, maybe not immediately, but over time. However, if you get yourself through pain, through that suffering, you make it intentional. For example, running. What happens is you feel somehow, you feel the pain now, you feel it slowly, but over time, the dopamine comes back. That is because of you have an internal form of accomplishment. You have that will that you are built up. You have that idea that it's me who is doing this, which is still a form of accomplishment. So in doing so, you become better by yourself intentionally, and that will now cause your dopamine level to rise. At the same time, it will raise the bar, the base level of your dopamine. So what that means is instead of having dopamine that rises and crashes immediately, you have a form of dopamine that goes up. That's why a lot of people choose to work out in the mornings. When you work out in the morning, you have a lot of blood flow going through you. A lot of blood flow going through you. Feel active for a larger part of the entire day because of that one sense of accomplishment. Two, healthy dopamine flooding. Two, three, you don't have a crash of dopamine immediately. And plus, it raises the base level of it. Now, if you choose your own suffering, that is a step towards living an authentic life. The authentic life I talk about on this channel a lot. Now, when you also choose your suffering, you get to have some form of responsibility, which in today's world we are heavily lacking. Because we have been sold this idea, which leads to my next point about you are very unique. Sorry, you are special. In reality, you are not special. You are different. You're different. You have different thoughts. You have different opinions, different interests, different ways of seeing things, different ways of doing things. And it's okay, it's healthy. That is what makes the world an interesting place. But when you begin to think that you're special, you begin to have some form of entitlement. And entitlements can come in different forms. One is, oh, I am so good that everybody should give me some form of everyone should give me special needs. Oh, why you have some other group that says, oh, I am so good, I am so low, that is, I am the weakest in this group, so please, I need my own sense of accolade, which in turn has a form of entitlement, which is victimhood. And for some very strange reasons, it has been getting worse by the day, by the year, which by the way, if you're not familiar with the movement I'm trying to create, is just basically telling men to be more responsible, pick up responsibilities for themselves. Back to the conversation is knowing that you are different, you're not special, you begin to carry yourself in a different manner, see yourself differently. My fourth point is uncertainty and failure. Now, when you're relaxed, you're certain, you know you can predict yourself tomorrow, you have a stable job, everything is perfect for you, nothing is changing. That is literally the point where you should be afraid. Because uncertainty, actually, if you listen to all entrepreneurs, leads to growth, leads to you creating something better for yourself. Remember when I said suffering drives us to become better? Suffering drives us, so that form of intentional suffering makes us in our own image of being better, quote unquote. So when you're suffering and you're embracing failure, you get to realize that there's some form of growth. And a lot of people miss a point regarding motivation and action. They think motivation leads to action, but no, in reality, it is the actual action itself that leads to a form of motivation. So instead of having to be motivated to act, no, you need some kind of motivation, which I will talk about later. But to be very frank, you need some motivation to start, but you need action to actually fuel the motivation. And then in that regard, I'll say my fifth point is your identity. Because your identity tells a lot more about you and what you should actually give a fuck about. Because, like I said, the world wants you to give a fuck about a lot of things. Just for the sake of giving a fuck. It's not like they want you to solve it, but they just want you to do it. So when somebody challenges your thoughts, your ideas, because of your identity. If you have a very rigid one, like for example, if you have an identity of a victim, and someone comes to tell you that no, you're not a victim, that you can actually take responsibility for yourself, you begin to feel threatened. You begin to threaten the other person. You begin to want to fight back. So instead of tackling the message, you will rather tackle the messenger. And another tip for not giving a fuck, the sorting out of not giving a fuck, is saying no. Instead of thinking about all these random things that you don't really care about, it's best to prioritize what you actually want to care about. And this is where all the magic begins to happen. Think about anybody you admire. Anybody you admire, you get to realize that we admire them because of what they choose to prioritize. Because by not caring about something, by caring less about something else, you are focusing your care, that is your subtle art of giving a fuck, into something else. So whenever people come to me with certain ideas and stories, and I'm like, ask myself, can I do anything directly to change the result? No. So why bringing this to me? And I mostly hear this a lot when I don't want to go this far, but with topics like feminism, and there's like talking about women's rights, and I'm like, what do you want me to do with women's rights? I'm not a legislator. I am not in power. So what do you want me to do? I have other things to work about. And like I said, if you have your priorities right, it becomes easier to care about some things. And by default, you will not care about some things. Doesn't mean that you are insensitive. Because a perfect example is Mahatma Gandhi, when he made his goal to revolutionize India. Automatically, Nigeria was not his business. Africa was not his business. India was his sole focus. So what should I do? Feel bad? Should Mahatma Gandhi should have felt bad for not giving a F about other countries? So, in summary, is this: the subtle art of not giving a fuck does not mean that you do not care about anything, or you are insensitive, or you are indifferent. What it basically means is that you have accepted things as the way they are first, and you're focused on changing some things that are priority and are valuable to you. So, I hope you got my tips, because social media has messed a lot of things up. And one funny thing I may say about social media is most of the things that go viral, they go viral on their highlights of people's lives, which you want to compare your entire life to. Now, when you don't give a fuck about that highlight, you get to live life much more presently. Also, mind you, sometimes you see some works of people who took about decades or years to get to where they are, and when the algorithm keeps feeding such images to you, you feel less than. Mind you, you don't care about these things. Imagine a software developer thinking that he can become a pro athlete because he has been recommended a lot of pro athlete videos. It's insane. So the brain has a lot of tricks it plays on us. The ego has a lot of tricks that it plays on us, on this idea of caring too much about a lot of things. So that's it. Thank you very much. Kindly share my video with somebody who you feel is going to enjoy this movement. And the movement is simple. We need men to become full stack. We need men to become responsible. We need men to realize that society right now is in a decline. And it's only the men who lead by examples, who pick up responsibilities for themselves and promise to pick up responsibilities for those around them, are the ones who actually have what it takes to turn the world, or rather to make the world a better place. So please share my video with somebody who you think will enjoy the process. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.